Good afternoon, my name is Estela, and I would like to ask you some questions about your life. I am a Spanish student and I am learning English. Could you speak slowly, please?
Will.
What is your name?
My name is ULRIKE1.
Where and when were you born?
I was born in the east side of Germany in 1966.
Okay, so you belong to GDRP?
Yes.
Are you married now?
No, I'm not married.
Have you got children now?
No, I don't.
Did you have children in the GDR?
No.
Okay. Could you explain what is your favorite memory of your childhood?
Okay. But I don't know if you want to hear a nice story or a bad story. I just combine both. So I was thinking about it. I remember when I was 14. How old are you?
16.
16, okay. I was a little bit younger. And we went, I had my very first adventurous kind of vacation. I went with my brother and we actually hitchhiked. So we stopped cars on the street, we hitchhiked to Dresden, and then we wanted to go further to Prague. It was the capital of the Czech Republic. And that is a good memory. That was possible in East Germany. It wasn't considered to be as dangerous as it is considered to be today. Nobody would send his 14-year-old girl, kid, just go and hitchhike to the very south. And I remember that it took us just a day to end up on a campground in Dresden. And on the very first night we met somebody, and he was a boy from Holland. He was a Dutch young man with a car, and he came there, and obviously he spent his vacation in East Germany. And I was 14, I fell in love immediately. And he was from the western side, so that was unusual to meet somebody in East Germany on a campground who came from a western country. So I became very, very excited. We became, just in a couple of hours, very good friends. And we talked about politics and religion and everything. And so I remember that, and it was really it seemed to me that the Iron Curtain, just for a moment, became a little bit open, just for me, and I was really thrilled. And I remember when I came home, so we went on, we parted after 3 days, and me and my brother, we went on for our vacation. And then I remember that I came home to my little hometown in East Germany. And of course that was a surprise. I had a letter from this Dutch boy, so he obviously wrote me a letter. And I was totally thrilled, and I really loved this letter, and I wrote back, and then school started. And now the bad story starts. And I remember I came to school the very first day after the vacation. And I was sitting in class, and all of a sudden the door went open, and the principal of my school, he appeared. And he asked me to come with him. He had to talk to me. And he brought me to his little office, and I was sitting there. And then he started talking to me. And he told me, okay, obviously you met somebody who is from the western side. And you know you are about to enter the high school. You're about to study here. We want to give you the chance to study in East Germany, be one of the socialistic academic. So that's really a problem if you meet somebody who's from the western side and you're a young girl, and just imagine you fell in love with him, or you will fall in love with him. So that's a huge problem. And he talked to me for half an hour. And to me today, the surprising thing is I never asked him, how do you know? I didn't tell my friends about it because it was the first day of school. I haven't had any time to tell my friends. Nobody knew. So my family knew, I knew, my brother knew, but that was pretty much everybody who knew about the story. But in 1980, of course, I was sure they read my letters already. And there was somebody who obviously looked into my letters and his letter. And I remember that I was really scared. I became really, really scared, and I went home to my mother and I talked to her. And I was scared because I knew that means trouble even for my family, for my parents, for my brother. And so I talked to her for a long time, and that was one of those very important talks you once in your lifetime have with your mother. And she said, yeah, it is smart to obey the rules and stick to the rules, but there are certain points you can't obey the rules. So if you want to write this guy, if you want to see him again, you can do that, and you should do that. And we can't kind of obey every rule. And we both knew that I jeopardized my education in East Germany and that maybe my family will get into trouble, but that's what I really loved about her. She told me, okay, go for it. If you want to see this guy, you can't just cut it off and say nothing happened. So that's a memory I have, and it has a good part, because life in East Germany was a little bit more free than it seems to be today. And on the other hand, there was somebody watching me, and as I told you, we didn't even question it. We knew there was somebody watching us. That was a long story, I'm sorry.
What were you doing the day the wall fell?
Actually sleeping. Night when the wall fell. And actually I lived in Berlin, right next to the wall. So the thing happened really one street from my apartment in Berlin. But this night, I don't know why, but I went home to my hometown. My mother was really ill, so I took care of her. And I know we called it a night very early, and I went to bed, and I had the radio going on all night. That was nice. I like to sleep and listen to the radio. And I remember that I woke up this night and I heard this kind of feature program. They talked about people entering the wall, dancing on the wall, and I thought, yeah, well, it's kind of a radio play. And I didn't even listen to it, so I slept. And in the morning I woke up, and then all the news were there, and I went back to Berlin, and everything was changed, everything. So.
How did you manage to live in Berlin?
How I got to Berlin? I got a job position in 1989. I became a teacher in East Germany, and I really fought for a position in Berlin. I really wanted to go to Berlin because it seemed to be more a city where you can feel more of the kind of restricted freedom in East Germany. And it was nicer than this little tiny town where I grew up.
Did you ever cross the wall?
Yes, actually, I did. A couple of months before the wall fell down, I did that, yeah.
And what happened?
My father, he left East Germany when he was 70. He was very old, and so she filed, or she asked to be released from East Germany. That was really a huge process, and it wasn't easy. And so finally in '87 he left East Germany, And in '89, in October, I was allowed to visit him because he turned 75. And that was in October. In November, the wall came down. So I went to West Germany in October '89, and that was, I really thought that was the one time in my life where I can go to the western side. And I didn't believe. Then in October '89, I remember I was standing next to the Palace. I don't know, have you seen the Palace? It's a building in the middle of Berlin, and that's where East Germans entered to go to the western side, and it's called the Palace of Tears, because usually East Germans were standing in front of the door of this building and just crying because relatives left for the west side. And I remember my mother brought me there, and she was crying, of course everybody was crying there. And I was 23 then, and I thought, okay, when I go now to the western side, I can actually stay, I could do that. But what would happen to my mother or my brother? Will I ever see them again? So I really decided, okay, I go for a week and I come back. I will come back, and of course I have to come back. I can't leave her alone here.
What are the differences between your life now and your life during the GDR?
It's huge. But I think the most important thing, I feel, in a funny way, I feel free. I feel my freedom, and I appreciate really that I can read whatever I want to read, and I can listen to every music I want to hear. I can travel to Spain. And when I was in your age, I thought, I will never ever see Spain, never ever. So maybe when I'm 65 I can leave East Germany, but then I'm probably too old to enjoy Spain and the sun and going to the beach. And so that's what I really, really love about my life now.
What would you tell today teenagers to avoid the repetition of this cross breed?
You mean what I would tell you to?
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it's difficult if you grow up in a system. And it's always smart to try to survive. But I think I would tell you what my mother told me. There are certain points where you have to stick to your own opinion, where you have to follow your heart. And I really think you should never ever forget whatever you do and whatever the system asks you to do, in the very, very end, you are responsible for everything you are doing. And I think especially in Germany, we should remember that there were times when people were killed all over Germany and nobody looked at them, and even your neighbors, they were brought out and they were kind of caught on the streets, people you knew, and they disappeared and nobody asked for them. And I think you are responsible, and if it's really bad, you should at least know, okay, it's my responsibility, and can I do that, and how painful is it for other people? I would say, yeah, that's what I really think you should know.
Is there anything else that you would like to add?
A lot of things, but it is really touching talking about it.
Thank you for your time and your information.
Thanks for your interest. Okay. Wow!